On February 21, Bybit, a major cryptocurrency exchange, was hacked and $1.46 billion was stolen. This is now the largest crypto heist ever. But this wasn't just a simple theft, it was a masterclass in deception. In this video, I will break it down for you in the simplest way possible, and then I will show you a powerful narrative structure and technique you can steal from it. I am Fugitive Tom. Welcome to class. Imagine you and two friends control a $1 billion Bitcoin wallet, and every withdrawal must be approved by 3 of you using a secret code. Your code is bromine, your friend's code is boron, and your other friend's code is meth. And every time a withdrawal request is made, your devices receive the secret code along with the destination wallet address. This guarantees that even if someone intercepts the code, they can't steal the money unless their wallet matches the approved one. Now enter the hacker. Let's call him Mr. Spain. Mr. Spain knows breaking your system directly is impossible. Therefore, instead of attacking the security, he attacks perception. He secretly installs a program on your devices. When he requests a withdrawal, your devices show you a fake version of reality. You see the correct secret code, you see the correct wallet address, everything looks normal. Therefore, you approve the transaction. But in the background, the malware will write the transaction details in real time, which means instead of sending the money to your wallet, it goes straight to Mr. Spain's wallet. You believe you approved a safe transaction, but in reality, you just handed $1 billion to the hacker. That's exactly what happened to Bybit. It was a highly sophisticated attack where security wasn't broken, it was bypassed. In this simple illustration of what happened to Bybit, there is a hidden storywriting formula that is especially useful for narratives that involve deception or hidden subversions of established orders. So now let's break it down into 5 key elements. Number 1, the first element I want you to be familiar with is labeled PV, and the meaning of PV is the protected value. This is what the villain wants but cannot take directly. In our example, the $1 billion in a crypto wallet is the PV. The second element is the established order, the state of normalcy. It is labeled N1. N1 is the system that keeps PV safe, and it consists of 3 sub-elements, RPS. R stands for routine. This is a routine that protects PV. In the illustration, the routine is that every transaction must be authorized by 3 people. P is for protectors. These are the people who enforce this routine. That is you and your friends. You are the protectors. P, the enforcers of N1, the established order. S is the symbol of stability, the confirmation that N1 is intact. In the illustration, the secret messages are the symbols of stability. It is meant to be the visible confirmation that all things are the way they're supposed to be. The third element is C. C is the consequence of a broken N1. If N1 is disrupted, chaos follows. In the illustration, the consequence is the fallout and chaos that follows losing $1 billion. The fourth element is V, the villain. The villain is any force, personal or impersonal, that wants PV but cannot take it directly because they are hindered by N1. Here, the hacker, Mr. Spain, is V. He's unable to access the funds without breaking the system. The fifth element is No, not that. The fifth element is N2. N2 is a mimic of N1. It is the fabricated version of N1 that is created by the villain that bypasses the protectors and makes them believe that N1 is still intact. The villain's intention is to overwrite N1, the established order, by N2, the fake order, without breaking S, the symbol of stability. The villain succeeds in making the protectors unknowingly endorse their own downfall. Mr. Spain didn't break security, he bypassed it by manipulating perception. The devices still display the correct codes, so the protectors unknowingly approve their own misfortune. For our mathematically inclined thinkers, the structure can be broken down into this formula. N1 is equal to R plus P plus S that protects PV to prevent C. The villain wants PV, so he introduces N2 to mimic N1 without breaking S, which will trigger C. So before we dive into the example, let's go over some 3 key tips to make this structure work in your story. The first tip is about the symbol of stability. S. In your story, the symbol of stability should have a psychological anchor. Of course, S is a tangible confirmation mechanism, a screen, a signature, a handshake, but in storytelling, symbols are powerful because of their emotional weight. So ask yourself, why do the people in N1 trust this symbol? And what assumption does it reinforce? In the illustration, the protectors trusted their screens on their device to show the correct secret code so that they can authorize the transactions, because people inherently assume a digital interface reflects reality. That blind trust is what made the deception work. The second tip is that N1 and PV should show more than just causality. N1 protects PV, and C is the consequence when N1 collapses. But a strong story raises the stakes beyond expectation. Instead of merely N1 collapses and PV is lost, your story should emphasize an unimaginable cost. Maybe the loss of PV doesn't just mean financial ruin, maybe it destroys reputations, friendships, or even entire institutions. In short, C isn't just bad, it is worse than anyone imagined. Thirdly, the mimicry, that is the N2, needs a psychological payoff. In storytelling, a psychological payoff refers to the reason a deception or illusion works, not just on a technical level, but on a human level. It is the mental reward that keeps people believing in the illusion even when there are warning signs. A well-crafted N2, the force system, must offer a psychological reason for its existence, or else people would naturally detect and reject it. The payoff is what keeps them blind, compliant, or even complicit in maintaining the deception. In our illustration, Mr. Spain couldn't just override security and openly take the money. Instead, he mimicked the normal system, N1, to trick people into endorsing the theft themselves. So why did this work? It's simple. The first answer, people trusted the system. The second answer, well, the confirmation symbol looked right because the visual confirmation, that is what they saw on screen, matched what they expected. So their brains filled in the gaps and reinforced their belief that nothing was wrong. Also, disrupting N1 would have raised alarms. If Mr. Spain had attacked the system openly, it would have been flagged instantly. The deception worked precisely because it didn't challenge expectations. It leaned into them. Therefore, there must be a psychological reason N2 works. The people within N1 must have a mental or emotional reason for trusting the lie. Maybe it protects their ego, maybe it supports their worldview, or maybe it just feels more comfortable than facing the truth. So right now, let's apply this to create a story about marriage infidelity. So firstly, in this context, we have N1, the established order, which will be the faithful relationship. In this case, N1 represents a stable, loving relationship between two partners, let's say a husband and a wife. And this stability is reinforced by three sub-elements: routine, protectors, and stability. In the routine, it could be a daily love text, or affectionate gestures, or a wedding ring, anything that reassures the partners that their love is intact. Maybe in 2 or 3 instances, we see or read the exchange of this love text between the lovers to show how strong their love is. Next is P, the protectors. These could be the lovers themselves as well as family, in-laws, or close friends. They are the protectors who uphold the relationship stability. And S, the symbol of stability, this is the visible proof of fidelity. It could be text, it could be rings, traditions, or even a child's belief in their parents' love. And all of this is in the N1. Secondly, we have the PV, the protected value. In this case, the relationship itself is the primary PV. However, strong narratives raise the stakes by introducing secondary PVs. Therefore, in this context, what about a disabled child who relies on the love between their parents for emotional stability? Or maybe one's partner's mental health is dependent on the relationship security and stability. It can also be the couple's public reputation, which could be destroyed if infidelity is revealed. So here, you have to find the PV, what the relationship is trying to protect, and it is important to raise the stakes for your PV, because the higher the stake, the more chaotic the consequence will be. In this case, C is the consequence. It is what happens when N1 collapses. That is, if the deception is exposed. Chaos follows. In this story, potential consequences include the child suffering emotionally or physically due to the stress, or the betrayed partner experiences emotional devastation, depression, or self-destruction, or the entire social or family structure collapses due to broken trust. This makes the stake not just personal, but deeply psychological. Now followed by the V, the villain. At first, you might assume the villain is the third party, the affair partner, the seducer or the seductress. But the real villain is the cheating partner. Why, you might ask? Because they are the one who actively oppose the illusion of anyone while secretly running into. They're the one who manipulates their partner's perception to maintain the false stability of anyone. They're the one who ensure that S, the symbol of stability, remain intact by continuing to wear that wedding ring, sending texts, or displaying affection. They are the one who triggers C, the chaos, the emotional collapse, the consequences when the deception is exposed. Next is the N2, the mimicry. This is how the betrayer maintains the illusion. The cheating partner doesn't just lie, they create an imitation of anyone that feels real, that keeps the betrayed partner unaware of the deception. So the question here is this: how will they maintain N2? Now I want you to imagine 4 ways that you think they can do this. And in the PDF in the link in the description, you will see mine. And the last one is the collapse. This is when N2 fails and N1 is shattered. Take note, N2 thrives as long as S, the symbols of fidelity, remain intact, but eventually a contradiction will emerge. Maybe the betrayer slips up. There will be an unexplained receipt, a witness, an inconsistency of some sort. Maybe a protector, either the family or the friend, will leak an information, or maybe the betrayed partner begins to notice the cracks, realizing that N1 was an illusion all along. This is the moment N2 is exposed and N1 collapses into C, the emotional destruction of the betrayed partner. Now, this structure isn't just about infidelity. It can be applied to corporate fraud, political corruption, secret double lives, and even psychological thrillers. The core idea is always the same. A stable system, N1, protects something valuable, PV. And don't forget, PV is sustained by S, the symbol of stability. A villain, V, wants PV, but cannot take it directly. So they create a deceptive imitation, N2, that maintains the illusion of N1 by fabricating a false S, symbol of stability. The deception holds as long as the false S remains intact. Whether N2 is meant to persist or be discarded depends on the villain's goal and intention. If the villain only seeks PV, they abandon N2, either laying their hands on what they want. If the villain depends on N2, they fight to maintain it for as long as possible. Eventually, if N2 collapses, it results in the collapse of N1, leading to chaos. Now you must have observed that this is just a setup for the story and not for how the conflict will be resolved. That will be another video. But what you can do is to take this model and structure and make it yours. Now, some might argue that this is nothing new. The stories have always had structure, and that is exactly the point. Great storytelling follows patterns, and this model helps you master them consciously. It is meant to free your creativity by removing the uncertainty of structural decisions. As a writer, when structure is no longer an obstacle, writing a compelling story becomes faster, becomes clearer, and becomes more intentional. With this model, you don't start from scratch. You start from a strong foundation that lets your creativity thrive. In the link in the description below, you will find a PDF that contains the structure, 2 other examples, the flowcharts, and also a story writing prompt for generative AI using this model. I hope this works for you. I hope you are able to use it as a skeleton that allows your unique ideas to take shape more naturally. With the structure in your arsenal, you can spend your creative energy on storytelling depth, character arcs, and thematic exploration instead of worrying about whether your story works. Alright, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next class.